Great young player, and we have our hands full with that line. He went to Ohio State, so I think that Ohio State-Michigan thing wears off on him a little bit. Meanwhile, Young isn't backing down, saying, quote, "You think I won't be excited to play against the GOAT? You're tripping. I'm not going to apologize for saying I want Tom." So, Shannon, do you think Chase Young will ultimately regret what he said?
I don't think he'll regret what he said, and I understand the exuberance of being my first playoff game, Skip. But I would have thought he'd have had some of this last week for the Eagles. Man, this is an opportunity. We win this game, we into the playoffs. Oh, I'm looking forward to getting Jalen Hurts, but it was none of that. Now it's Tom Brady. Ultimately, I think at the end of the day, I do not believe they'll win. I believe their defense will play well, but I just don't believe he has the offense to help him out to back up some of the checks that his mouth is writing. So ultimately, I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win. I understand he's confident, Skip. The guy made the Pro Bowl in his first season. He looks like he's going to be defensive player of the year, a rookie defensive player of the year. He was just named NFC Defensive Player of the Month. So he has a lot going on. He's a phenomenal talent. Phenomenal. I love his energy. I love his passion. I love all of that. But at the end of the day, but what he fails to realize, Skip, guys not afraid of talking to the NFL. Guys are unafraid of that, Skip. Like I said, he's not in a dominant position. It's not like you going out there and you got the best team offensively of the top 50 guys on the field. You got 48 of them, like Ohio State normally had every time he took the field when Chase Young was there. 2/3 to 3/4 of the best players was on his side. Well, that's not the case now. And he's going to find out when you write checks like that, that's a big old check. You better have the cashier in the back end to back it up. You better have the capital to back it up. So we're going to get an opportunity to see. Now, I can tell you, I don't know what network is going to be on, but they're going to highlight the matchup between him and the tackles. Skip, he better not get shut out. That's all I'm saying. I hope he plays like his hair is on fire. And he does what he said. I'm excited because it better not look like you weren't excited to go see Tom and you don't see Tom. Tom jersey better be bloody. He better be looking. Nothing illegal. But Skip, you remember that photo they took of Y.A. Tittle when he's on there? He's all blooded and muddied and he's in the middle of the field and he's like, what just happened?
He just on a pick six is what it just happened.
he did. Yep. But they had beaten the hell out of him up until that point. Chase, this is what you wanted. You asked for this. Skip, I remember as a kid getting toys, and my grandma said, all of a sudden I would play with it for a little while. My grandma said, boy, you asked for that toy. Now you better get your ass over there and start playing with it again. Okay, Chase Young, you asked for this. You better get your you-know-what out there and put some pain on Tom Brady.
You better set Brady's hair on fire.
You better.
Okay, I remember once upon a time covering a Super Bowl featuring Denver Broncos against the Atlanta Falcons, and there was this guy named Shannon Sharp. Boy, he had a big mouth, but he could back it up.
Yes!
And he talked, and he talked, and he talked, and he got into a war with several of the Falcons, one in particular, as I recall.
Ray Buchanan?
Yeah, I would say. And it was hilarious, to tell you the truth. It was shot versus shots fired back and forth.
Yes.
And yet, Shannon Sharp knew at that point he was in a pretty powerful position.
Yeah, I was in the catbird team.
I would say. Because you had John Elway and you had Terrell Davis. And you had maybe the best offensive line in football.
Yes.
And I can't remember if you're favored. You're probably favored.
Yeah, we were favored, absolutely. Because we had just won the year before. We had beaten Green Bay, Skip.
Okay.
So I had the NFL MVP in my backfield in TD.
Okay.
2,000 yards. I had John Elway. He had gone, this is his fourth Super Bowl. He had won the last one. Ed and Rod had gone over 1,000 yards receiving. Mm-hmm. So I felt very, very comfortable with where I was.
And you had proven a lot in the NFL because I'm pretty sure you'd been multiple Pro Bowls.
Yeah, I had gone to seven. That was my seventh straight that year.
Straight Pro Bowl. Okay. So that's one situation, and this is quite another.
Yes.
I'm not going to condemn Chase Young for what he said because he is, to use his last name and underscore it, he is young.
Yes.
But I do believe he'll ultimately look back on this with some regret. Obviously, that will be dictated in large part by the outcome on Saturday night and how he performs versus how Tom Brady performs.
But, Skip, even if they lose the game, if he balls out.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I agree with you. I'm giving him some, is what Ron Rivera called youthful exuberance.
Yes.
And I give him some credit because he uttered, these things spilled out of his mouth as he ran off the field on fire with having just won the division, right?
Yes.
At Philadelphia. And he's yelling at basically, I want Tom, I want Tom. He didn't wait 24 hours and let it sink in, and then on a Zoom call with the reporters, very rationally say, I want Tom Brady.
I'm looking forward to that because he's the greatest quarterback, and I get an opportunity. Skip, you remember after Pittsburgh beat Kansas City? Mike Tomlin didn't think any cameras were around and said what he said. Now, the NFL screwed us. We're on a short week.
We have to go to New England.
We got to go play the AHs up there. But unfortunately, somebody had that thing Facebook Live. So people say things behind closed doors. I'm not so sure that Ron Rivera wasn't probably saying the same thing. The D-line might have not been saying the same thing behind the closed doors. Because we get, hey, Mike, NFL Films is always there. Mike, turn around, hey, this doesn't get out. So he says what he says. So if Chase Young wants to get inside, but he said, nah, I can't even hold it.
Nope. I did like his explanation yesterday when he said, hey, I'm excited to play against every quarterback, but especially the GOAT.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that. But in the end, this is a classic case to me of you don't tug on Superman's cape. That guy has won 6 Super Bowls in 9 tries. That guy is obsessed with trying to win one more without Bill Belichick, and it's going to have to start this Saturday night at Washington. So you are in harm's way already, and you don't want to exacerbate the situation. You don't want to incite Tom Brady any more than he's already incited, and he's coming off, albeit against weak competition, but the hottest month of his time in Tampa Bay.
It might have been the hottest month of his career.
Okay, it could be. No, it could be. December to remember.
Yes.
So you are tugging on a guy who's turned back into Superman's cape. And Ron Rivera said, I do cringe over it because Rivera's been around this block too many times. He knows what happens. He played for the '85 Chicago Bears with Buddy Ryan. He knows what happens when you say something that gets posted on the rival bulletin board and how it can incite the troops.
So now we make sure, okay, tight end, on your way out, you put your elbow, you put your helmet in his ribs. Back, you make sure on your way out, you make sure Chase Young knows you were there. Now, we're going to run a couple of toss cracks also. Receivers, I want you to throw caution to the wind. If you miss, you miss. But I want you to try and put your helmet in Chase Young's ribs and hit him as hard as God as possibly you can. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make sure early on Chase Young knows that he's in an NFL playoff game, and the stakes are a little different. And you can talk, but you better walk. And that's why you have to be careful, Skip. Guys are going to come play anyway. But now guys are going to be like, okay, we got a little something for you.
Well, there's a side of Brady that I always call Psycho Tom, and you don't see it very often, and it hasn't come out all that much in Tampa Bay. Used to see it all the time in New England. Running down to the end zone to headbutt with somebody throwing a touchdown pass to. Maybe he's matured at age 43.
No, but he's still one of the first ones down there. When he threw an interception, he's one of the first one down there, slapping the guys on the helmet and smiling. And so he's still that, but he's really never had a reason to go to that place that you're talking about. Now he does because someone has called him out.
He has been called out. And yet he said, he gave Chase a little break. He said he's a great young player. And he said, this will be a tough challenge, but this was the operative phrase to me. It's going to be a fun game.